Dan Olds here again with another conversation about the Student Cluster Competition. I have a very special guest today. It is John Lee, who is the VP, Vice President, for Advanced Technology Solutions at Cray. Hey, John, how you doing?
I'm doing great, Dan.
Good, good. Having a nice day?
Yeah, excellent.
Excellent. Same here. This year, in 2013 at SC, Cray is sponsoring more teams than any other vendor and maybe more teams than any single vendor has sponsored before. You guys have 3 teams in this cluster competition. Why are you so deeply involved this year?
Well, we like being first in everything, so that's one. And I think second is because Cray is really all about leadership in supercomputing. Okay, and you can't. Not only are we interested in being the leader of the past of supercomputing, the present of supercomputing, but also the future of supercomputing as well. So what says future more so than our obviously our students who are coming up and who will be really the future of this country and this global supercomputing market. So what we want to do is we want to have a dialogue and interaction with these guys so they have a better understanding of what supercomputing is all about. And I think through this interaction, they're going to get a lot out of it, and also Cray will get a lot out of it as well.
Yeah, I think so too, because these kids end up being involved in supercomputing a variety of ways, both on the research side, in business, and even in working for vendors.
Oh, absolutely. And one of the sad things is that the number of students that are getting into the mathematics and the science industries are diminishing, right? And
Yeah.
also, even those that are in the math and science are going into industries outside of supercomputing. So I think high-performance computing and supercomputing industry as a whole has kind of a dearth of talent. And it's really important for us as an industry, I think, to continue to excite the student body and let them know what an incredibly dynamic and fascinating industry supercomputing is, so we can attract those talents. And I think this is one of the ways we do that.
Absolutely. In fact, for the second time, one of the teams that you're sponsoring is an all-female team from the University of the Pacific. Last year, Cray, along with, I believe it was Livermore, brought them to the competition in Salt Lake City, and they're coming back with what they call Team Venus 2.0.
Right, and a perfect name too, isn't it, Team Venus?
Yeah, yeah, it is.
So so we're hoping that the second time around will be a better result for us. We had a fantastic team last year. I got a chance to meet with them personally, and they were very excited, a lot of energy. And we're assembling obviously a different team this year, but it's also going to be all-female team as well. So it's going to be unique in that sense. So it's an opportunity for us second time around to see, if we can make a bigger impact this time around.
Well, it made a pretty big impact last time. I believe, if I remember right, one of the team members told me that the student cluster thing was the first time that they had any exposure to Linux.
Yes, that's correct.
Isn't that amazing?
Obviously, it is amazing, and I think we can define impact in many, many ways, and I think the impact that we made to each of the students, and also the team made an impact to not only the Livermore folks that helped put that team together and assisted them with their preparation, and also our own team, our Cray team that was involved with the Team Venus. It was a huge impact for all of us as well. It was an opportunity for the vendor and obviously the industry leader in Lawrence Livermore National Lab to have a lot of face time and interaction time with our really bright students.
Oh, yeah.
In putting together a fantastic system and being able to compete in that competition.
Now, one of the other teams you're sponsoring, I think, is over on the other end of the scale in terms of sophistication. It's the University of Tennessee at Knoxville, who in some ways could be called Team Oak Ridge, sort of the factory team for Oak Ridge and
That's
the
right.
National Institute of Computing Science.
Right.
That's a whole different kettle of fish there, as we say in
Right.
supercomputing.
I mean, absolutely, and competition is so important, right? So, so a lot of people are saying, "Wow, Cray is sponsoring a team from California at Lawrence Livermore, which is a site of Sequoia, which was the number one supercomputer,
Mm-hmm.
and also Team Oak Ridge, which is a site of where the Titan, another number one supercomputer was. So I think competition fosters innovation, and also competition is really good. So we're hoping we're going to try to play fair, not
Sure.
root for both sides, and we're
Oh
not going to
yeah.
be, rooting for one team more so than others,
Nah,
but I think it's going to be great.
there's no losers in this competition. The kids get so much out of it, and the sponsors get so much out of it. It's just a great time all the way around. And I don't know how much you know about this, but Cray is sponsoring even a third team. And that is in a brand new event, first time ever, the Celebrity Pro-Am Cluster Competition. And real quickly, I don't think anybody on the call has probably heard about this. It hasn't been publicized yet because it just came together. On the last day of the student cluster competition, which is Thursday, we're going to have a celebrity team that's going to be led by Brent Gorda from Intel, who is also one of the founders of the original student cluster competition. Brent is going to have a team of 5 industry professionals, hand-picked, hand-selected, who will have their own cluster, which has been provided by Cray, to go up against the students on an unnamed mystery application.
Oh, wow. Sounds exciting.
It will be exciting.
Yeah, I mean, I know Brent really, really well. So, this is probably a brainchild of Brent's. And the whole idea behind this, again, is to have our industry experts have an opportunity to interact with these students on a very intimate level. And also foster some competition because they're going to be competing with one another.
It'll be
So I think it's going to be really exciting.
And actually, I've got to go ahead and correct you on one thing. It was my brainchild. And I talked.
Oh, it was your brainchild.
And I talked Brent.
Right.
I talked Brent into it at ISC. At least got him far enough down the road where he said, "Well, yeah, maybe." And I went ahead and just assumed that was a yes and roped him in the rest of the way over the past couple of weeks. Because
that's a great idea. I think you did the right thing.
And everybody else, you guys are really busy during this show, and it's hard to get your time because there's so many demands on it. But he's made the commitment and is going to be there. So I want everybody to be there late afternoon on Wednesday when we're going to introduce the teams and the competition, and they'll be cranking away Thursday morning, and the winner of this will be announced at the awards luncheon. So this should be fun too.
Yeah, I mean, right. I mean, I don't know who Brent's going to pick, but that group of five team members are going to have a lot of pressure on them because I'm sure they want to make the whole competition exciting. But can you imagine if they actually lost to some of the students? That would be pretty embarrassing for their colleagues.
Happen.
So I'm sure they have a lot of pressure.
It could happen. We'll see what happens. And maybe, I don't know, next year, maybe it's John Lee's celebrity team.
Oh yeah,
yeah.
I'd love to do it. Sounds like it'll be a lot of fun.
So, in looking over this competition over the past several years, and you've been involved in HPC for a long time, how do you see this experience playing for a student on their resume as they move forward? What do you think they're getting out of this?
Well, I mean, I think they're getting a lot out of it at many different levels. Obviously, on their resume, it's a feather in their cap. Because it's an opportunity to show their prospective employers that, hey, they can play with the big boys, and they've had this real hands-on experience in being involved in this particular industry. So I think it's a great thing from a resume perspective. But
and working
even
with
more
a team,
so than that,
too, things like working with a team and doing it on their own time.
Right, absolutely right, because this is outside of their normal schoolwork.
Yeah.
It's a real life experience, not in a kind of a controlled class environment, which I think the employers like to see. How do these kids react, or how do these kids perform in a kind of a real work environment, which what this is going to be. So I think that's great from that perspective. But even more so than that, I think the experience that they're going to gain out of this thing, right? Obviously, the great camaraderie that's going to exist between the teams as they compete to try to win each of the competition is going to be fantastic. But other things like having an opportunity to actually touch the machines, setting up a cluster, the intricate details that's involved in putting up a working machine, and then being able to run applications, different types of applications, and see how the applications impact specific system characteristics and how they can tune those characteristics to run those applications better in a very controlled environment. All of these things, I think, are going to gain tremendous experience and life experiences for these kids. So I think that's great.
and typically that's the stuff that they might learn about in a book or hear about in a class or maybe have some limited exposure to, but this is real world and they're really trying to get it done, and that makes a big difference.
Right, right. And the third thing that I want to highlight also is the interaction that they have with their sponsoring vendor as well as the sponsoring organization or the organization that's going to
Absolutely.
be helping them with that. And that is so valuable, right? I mean, it's kind of like I wish I had something like that when I was going to college, where I get to have an opportunity to meet with my heroes, let's say, or my mentors, and
Real
have a
professionals in the
real
business, yeah.
professionals, right? To have that interaction and actually be able to apply the conversations that I have with them to the actual system that we're deploying and the work that we're doing. I think that is just so valuable, and it's an incredible experience. It's I think the kids will get just so much out of it. I think it's fantastic.
Yeah, absolutely. And if you were put yourself in the position of an uncle to one of these kids, and if they want to pursue a career, say in research or traditional HPC on the customer side, like energy or Wall Street or something like that, how would you advise them to take advantage of what they've done or what they will have done in the cluster competition and use that with a prospective employer? Any thoughts, any hints?
Oh, no, absolutely. I mean, first and foremost, high-performance computing as an industry has so many opportunities obviously on these commercial companies that are doing a lot of research. I mean, research is everywhere, not only
Sure.
in government, but also commercial sector as well. So I think having experience in research, I think, is going to be very important for these kids, and it's going to help them tremendously as they go into the workforce.
And I would argue
But
that,
just
that big data is squarely in this chunk too.
Right, 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 right. Absolutely. And I think second thing that I think is very important for these kids is that the interaction and the networking opportunities that they're going to have. I mean, high performance computing is like the Super Bowl of supercomputing.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody who's anybody is there.
Mm-hmm.
And the Student Cluster Challenge gets so much attention. All these industry leaders will be there and, looking to these kids as prospective employees of their future. So it's a great opportunity for them to meet their prospective employers, and also you can almost think of it as a huge kind of an audition in a
That's a
sense.
good way to put
So,
it. Like
yeah, so I think that's going to be great.
and so I think what we both say is don't be shy.
Oh,
If
absolutely,
you're
yeah. And I
interested
mean,
in something, go talk to the people that are doing it because they're there.
right, right. And another thing that I want to highlight is that you really enjoy the experience because,
Yes.
I mean, sometimes, you get so wrapped up in just winning the competition, you don't really enjoy the experience. It's kind of like the Super Bowl, right? I mean, Super Bowl, there's the game itself, but there's like 1 week of experience that leads up to the Super Bowl game. Well, I want these kids to enjoy the whole experience of the supercomputing.
Absolutely. And reach out to anyone or any topic that you're interested in, because the great thing about this show, where it differs from I think still any other show in the industry, is that the people that are actually doing the work are the ones that are there.
Hmm.
And they're more than happy to discuss it. In fact, they came there to discuss their work and what they're doing. So as a
Right,
student,
right.
don't be shy about introducing yourself, walking up, talking to them, asking questions, and particularly if it's someone that you might be interested in working for at some point.
Working for also, they're going to probably see they may be in a little bit of an awe because they're probably going to see people whose papers that they have read
Yeah,
or whose books that they have read, right?
yeah, good point.
But yeah, but the thing that they need to understand is that these people are just so open and they want to share because I think it's really important for us as scientists and researchers that our future generation will be able to kind of carry on the torch. I think it's really, really important for all of us. So don't be shy. Go and talk to them, introduce yourself, and you'll find that you'll be stuck in a conversation for hours
Yeah,
because
exactly.
they probably can't get them to stop. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. And I know that for my part, I ended up going over a few resumes with people when I was there. Was more than happy to do it. And
Hmm.
one of the things we don't really talk about, and in fact, this conversation is the first time I've talked about it in any of these webcasts, is what if one of these kids or more of them want to get involved in the industry side. So in other words, if they want to get involved on the vendor side of
Hmm.
computing, there's a lot of opportunities there too.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. So, company like Cray, for instance, right? We have many different disciplines and functions and roles that we're looking for very talented individuals in. Okay, and one of the key things that we look for is teamwork. Okay, because nobody works in a silo anymore. We're
Hmm.
in a global economy where you have to work with people of different cultures and different way of thinking with different disciplines. So I think these students who are in a team environment, running many different types of applications, getting acquainted very intimately with these hardware, will have an opportunity to touch many aspects of what makes a company like Cray very successful. So I think one of the things that they want to get out of this experience is, okay, well, where is my interest lie? Okay, is my interest in building up the system? Is
Hmm.
my interest more in particular applications, or in fine-tuning the system characteristics to match up with the applications? Or maybe they may be interested very much in the science aspect of the applications that they're running. So I think one thing is understand, what really excites you. And then I think they'll find that based on that passion that they have, there'll be specific roles waiting for them in companies like Cray. Okay,
Yeah,
and a great way to kind of find out about what kind of roles and what kind of functions are available in an organization like Cray is to talk to people like myself or to my colleagues to kind of understand, okay, what are the key things that we're looking for as we're looking for a prospective employee to fill some of these functions. And
absolutely.
second, what do these people do day to
Yeah,
day, right?
yeah.
And it's a great opportunity for them to kind of find out what we do on a day-to-day basis.
And don't be afraid to ask those questions. Just like you said, John. What's your day? What's the day to day like working for Cray in this function?
Right,
You
right,
guys are more
absolutely.
than happy to talk about that, and that's a very important point that you're making.
Hmm.
Because for any sort of research activity that they're doing now in the classroom, I think there's probably a corollary for that within a large HPC vendor like Cray.
Hmm. Absolutely. I mean, we're looking for obviously very book smart kids, but I think the key thing that I want to highlight here is that it's the future of supercomputing and being successful in an organization is the capability and the ability to work well in a competitive group environment.
Hmm.
Okay, and we create dynamic groups of different discipline with people with different strengths, and it is this dynamics. I think that makes the dynamics of the individuals that makes the dynamics of the group very powerful and very effective. So I encourage all the kids that are interested in this field to follow their passion. Okay,
Hmm.
they're going to find that they lean towards a particular element of this industry and really kind of pursue it with a lot of passion, but also understand how that area of study fits into the overall picture of the dynamics of high performance computing. And once they understand that, I think they'll have an opportunity to be very successful in this industry.
That's great. Well, thank you for that, and thank you for this time. Any other thoughts other than go Cray?
Um, oh, yeah. Well, my final thought is, Cray was obviously, we're the leader of supercomputing. There was a period where, Cray was in a difficult time, but now Cray is making a huge comeback,
Hmm.
and Cray has become actually quite hip, I realized. My kids were saying, like, when I told them that I work for Cray, they said, "Oh, that's so cray." And I didn't realize what they were saying. But cray, I guess, is a new hip way of saying, it's crazy or something like that, or it's really cool.
Okay. Yeah,
So,
you're talking to the wrong guy if you're thinking I'm connected to anything going on in the culture today. I
well,
yeah.
Dan, the students that are in their student cluster challenge will know exactly what I'm talking about.
Okay, well that's good. I'm glad they understand your code, your hipster code and lingo, and we'll look for more of that from you as we come on.
Hey,
Well, thank you, John. Really appreciate the time.
thank you, Dan.
Thanks. Bye bye.